Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have another really cool Passion Charger model to take a look at. We've had a few recently, as we had a Paraentelodon as well as a Spinosaurus, but now we have the pleasure of checking out another mammal, another prehistoric mammal from Passion Charger. I think I've only really had one so far, which was the Paraentelodon, if I'm remembering correctly. And we now have another, as we have a Paraentelodon. And this is a really cool model. It definitely looks fantastic as far as the sculpt goes. But of course, being a resin model, I had to paint it up and, of course, construct the model, put it together and everything. But I'm actually quite happy with the way it turned out. I think it looks extremely realistic, extremely lifelike, as all Passion Charger models always do. And again, just another killer release from them overall, just really showing the broad range of models that they can create and create to perfection. So, without further ado, let's jump to a closer look at it right now. So, starting up here at the head sculpt of our Paraentelodon, you can see again it looks really good, especially as far as the fine detail goes. I love the fact that the mouth is sculpted in an open position, obviously showing the ferocious side of this creature, but I like how good of a job they've done of showing that off in the sculpt, because you can kind of see like some creasing and wrinkling there in the snout, just showing a kind of like a snarling sort of look, but also just the movement of the mouth being open and everything so perfectly there in the snout. And also, again, if you get nice and close, you can see how good the actual texturing and everything looks, the fur and everything, the very fine fur of the face looks fantastic. Very, very realistic, very impressive. The nose, of course, is also sculpted out quite beautifully here on the tip of the snout. And as I already mentioned, we've got the mouth in an open position, which that looks really cool as well. You can see the tongue sticking up there, obviously showing a pretty cool kind of dynamic visual for our Paraentelodon. And you can see that the teeth and everything are sculpted on the inside of the mouth. The teeth on the inside of the mouth on the upper side, you can see, are kind of like hidden there, obscured a little bit, but they look great as well. Whereas the teeth on the lower jaw, you can definitely see, if my camera would focus on them, you can see how nice they look. And of course, the mouth being open the way it is, you can kind of see the gum line and everything following along the lower jaw. It looks incredible, as again I would expect from a Passion Charger release. As you move back a little further into the face, you can see the eye socket area is sculpted really nicely. The eye itself is also sculpted nicely. You have a few more kind of like creases and stuff right there, again showing off the movement of the mouth opening up. As we move up here to the top of the head, you begin to see some kind of scruffier fur picking up, much thicker fur, a little bit more wild appearance as far as that fur goes. We also have the ears sculpted out right here, which you can see looks really good, really nicely sculpted, very highly detailed as well. As you lead back, you also see some more fur picking up here, like scruffier fur in the side of like the cheek area leading up into the neck. You can see kind of like some creases and stuff there, because the animal does have its head turned to its left, so of course you would see some wrinkling and kind of creasing and stuff over here. But as you lead up, you again have all sorts of really kind of scruffy fur. I did give this an alternate kind of darker tone of color. I just felt like it looked natural that way, and hopefully my paintwork of this turned out pretty nicely. I didn't go with any kind of like a crazy flashy design or color scheme or anything. I felt like this looked nice and natural for an animal that would be kind of trying to ambush prey and stuff. But the actual fur detail is out of this world. Look at how impressive that is. Again, really, really highly detailed. All sorts of movement and everything shown. It looks very different as you move through, just the way that the fur is kind of hanging off of the body. Extremely impressive as always when it comes to a Passion Charger model. As you move down here, you can again see that we transition back to a much finer sort of a type of fur. You can also make out the muscle definition in the front leg. You've also got a little area of that, scruffier fur leading off of the elbow, so I've given that the darker coloration as well. And as you lead down into the foot sculpt, you can as well see the foot sculpt looks great. Extremely, extremely nicely done when it comes to the sculpting aspect. The paint, of course, I can't judge on because I did that. You'll have to let me know if it looks good or not. But as you move along, you continue to have, again, that's kind of scruffier fur. You can see a few wrinkles and everything down here in the lower part of the stomach, because this leg is taking a step forward, so it's kind of wrinkling the skin there in the stomach region of the animal. You can also see a little bit more as far as like skin wrinkles and folds and stuff as you move down a little further. As you lead back, you can make out the hip bone. You can also see the spinal column running along the upper side here. Man, it's such a beautiful sculpt, just showing the animal off perfectly. As you move down, you've got a nice thigh here. Again, some kind of wrinkling and creasing, just generally some nice fine detail as you move down. You can see the knee and everything. leading down into the foot sculpt. And you can obviously see these 2 feet are closer together, showing the walking motion of the animal. And then as you lead back here into the tail, you can see the tail leading out of the back here with a very nice curve to the tail and some kind of scruffier fur out here at the end of the tail, at the tip of the tail. And then if we take a look at the opposing side, you can get a really good idea as far as what the head sculpt and everything looks like over here. Absolutely beautiful, but not too far off from what we had just seen on the initial side. And as you lead back, you again see all kinds of really nice looking fur detail. And we also lose focus again. As you lead up, you again see it kind of turn kind of scruffier and just more impressive running along the top and back of the animal there. And then as you lead down, I like that they've shown off the fact that this leg is extended and kind of beginning to bear the weight of the animal nicely by protruding the shoulder out a little bit right there. Just impressive fine detail like that is always what stands out to me when it comes to a model. But also some creasing right there in the front of the leg, again showing the fact that the leg is extended. Some more of that kind of scruffier fur leading off of the elbow. And everything again looks great as you move along. We definitely have a much wider visual of the stomach over here because both legs are kind of spread apart, just showing off the appearance to the stomach a lot nicer. Looks really good as you move along through the side of the animal, and you lead back here. You've got the hip bone again, and then again that really nice looking leg sculpt. So the figure itself, the Paraentelodon, is absolutely gorgeous, but it also comes with a very nice base, and the base has kind of a nice earthy area as it's moving through here. You can see we've got all sorts of rocks and stones and stuff throughout. Not a whole lot else going on with this. Of course, I also painted the base, and hopefully it turned out pretty nicely. Hopefully it looks, as realistic as I possibly could get it. I was pretty happy with the way it turned out. I think it looks like a nice naturalistic earthy look, but definitely, again, a really, really highly detailed base. You can see when you get nice and close, like, the actual texturing is incredible, just like the, Paraentelodon itself is, but really, really nice looking base, again, to go with a gorgeous prehistoric mammal model. Now, there is an area here, if it's kind of hard to notice right now, but there are footprints here so that you can figure out where to line it up with. So you would place it right there. And it does stand pretty nicely on the base. Like, there's no pegs or anything to really hold it on. It just basically stands in a specific spot so that the feet line up correctly. So it stands, but I'm going to glue mine on. I always try to glue these on just because I always have that worry in the back of my head that maybe something will bump the table and the animal or the model or whatever will break and fall. I don't want that to happen, so I'm pretty happy gluing mine on all the time, but you don't necessarily need to, especially if you have it in a nice safe space. As far as a size goes, this is the 1/35th scale version, so you can purchase this actually in 2 different scales. I think 1/35th and maybe 1/15th is the other scale. But for a length, when you lead from the snout to the outstretched opposing leg, I'd say it's at about a little over 3.5, approaching 3¼ inches, or around 9, maybe closing in on 9.5 centimeters. And then for a height, if it's standing on the base, about 2.5 inches, or right around 6.5 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line next to our Passion Charger Paraentelodon. And you can see it is definitely a lot smaller than a lot of the other models that I have reviewed from Passion Charger, but at the same time, I have also reviewed some smaller models from them previously, like the Nasutoceratops, and to show you a comparison there is a comparison next to the Passion Charger Nasutoceratops, one of the 2 different versions that are out, and you can definitely see, again, they're not too far off as far as the size goes overall. And then for a size comparison next to the only other prehistoric mammal figure that I have currently finished and reviewed on the channel from Passion Charger, we have the Paraceratherium next to our Paraentelodon, and absolutely my favorite Paraceratherium in my collection. This thing is absolutely incredible. So another huge recommendation would be that model. If you are looking for a Paraceratherium, definitely grab the Passion Charger version, but you can see clearly a pretty big size difference between these 2. And then for some random comparisons, we have a Mattel Dilophosaurus and Velociraptor next to the Paraentelodon, just to show you again the smaller size. We've also got the Safari LTDU Tyrannus, the Schleich Diabloceratops, and Collect Day Deluxe Dimetrodon here next to the Paraentelodon for yet another comparison, again showing that it is a bit on the smaller side, and again at 1/35th scale you would expect it to be, but for a final comparison, There is a Toy Monster International Captives supersized Spinosaurus stepping in for one comparison here, one final comparison, just to show you that even though, again, it's a smaller figure, it's not super, super tiny, and obviously is kind of similar in size to a supersized Captives figure. Also shows you that it's a very nice, very conveniently sized version of this species to add to your collection, where it's not going to take up too much room, but you can have probably the best version of this creature out currently because, again, it's a Passion Charger sculpt, so it's incredible. So this Passion Charger Paraentelodon is absolutely amazing, just like every model from Passion Charger in the entire history of my reviews has been. I really don't think Passion Charger will ever do anything but amaze me because their sculpts are always so highly accurate and so highly detailed. And that is exactly the same case for this Paraentelodon. And you can see as you move through the course of the figure, the entire thing is just so highly detailed. The fur detail is incredible. No matter where you look, again, you have so many different varying appearances to the fur, as you have super fine fur in the face, you have scruffier fur leading along the back of the animal, some more fine fur, but not quite as fine as what you see in the face, moving through the rest of the body. Like, it's extremely impressive when it comes to just how much difference there is when it comes to the actual fur on this figure. On top of that, we have a really cool dynamic pose as it's moving along, looks to be letting out a vocalization, or maybe it's trying to take down some sort of animal. I'm not too sure exactly what the idea is behind that, but that also looks great. Of course, the paintwork here was done by me, so you could paint yours up however you would like. That's really up to you, but hopefully the paintwork turned out nice. Definitely helps to bring it to life, that's for sure, but hopefully you guys like the paint and you think that it looks, fairly realistic and natural. So if you are interested in grabbing one of these, make sure you check the links that I will include in the description to contact Passion Charger on Facebook, where you can purchase this in 2 different size ranges, as I mentioned earlier, or if you do not have social media, you can contact me and I will contact them for you. One way or another, definitely a massive recommendation from me, so make sure you grab this gorgeous model and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.